Rube, the hay's in the barn. It's almost time for Super
I
Bowl
love that
59.
phrase.
It's a great phrase. And, man, it feels like it took a long time to get to this point.
Well, yeah, really, it took since the end of July when training camp started. It's a long season, and it's long for us too. But it's a grind for these guys, and they seem fresh, they seem energetic, and they seem ready to go. And can't wait for Sunday at 6:30.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually getting to the game. There's all this other stuff involved, but they're eventually just going to play a football game, and I think that's the coolest thing about it is none of the stuff in the last 2 weeks matters when they get on the field. We got to see them actually do it, and it's fun.
It is. Here we go. Almost there.
I should mention this is the Eagle Eye Podcast. We're presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank, and I'm Dave Zangaro. The last of our daily pods in the lead up to Super Bowl 59. So thanks for everyone who came along for the ride with us. And I normally wait until the end to do this, but if you've enjoyed all of these pods, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can click that like button. That helps us out. Give us a 5-star rating. That helps us out as well. Kind of a simple podcast today. We're going to clean out the mailbag a little bit. We have some questions to get to, and then we have to give our predictions for this game. So eagleeye at NBCUni.com is where you send those emails. We have a ton of them. I apologize if we haven't gotten to yours this week. There have been so many, and we appreciate all of them. So let's just start off with Sheldon from Zanesville, Ohio. First time.
Man, let me just tell you, Zanesville High School had one of the best marching bands I've ever seen. The Zanesville High Marching Blue Devils. So I appreciate they used to play at our college games, Ohio Wesleyan. Now, we didn't have a marching band, but Zanesville would bus out to our games, and they were our marching band. They were great. So thank you, Zanesville High School Marching Blue Devils. You may now continue.
I don't even think I got started, really. Okay, first, long-time listener, first-time emailer. 2 questions. What's a bold prediction from each of you, and will we see Philly on Sunday?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about my bold prediction. The Eagles have never had an interception in a Super Bowl. They've played in 4 of them. They don't have an interception, and mine's going to be interception related. I might go with 2 interceptions off Mahomes, maybe.
Wow, yeah, that would really change the game. The Eagles have been so good at taking the ball away. I mean, if they do it again, they're going to win this game.
They are. Yeah, 15 takeaways and no turnovers in their last 5 games is just crazy. So I think I'll go with that. I might make that my bold prediction for Sunday. 2 picks off Mahomes.
Wow. I think there's going to be an unlikely defensive player to make a big play. I think I might go with Moro Ojima to get a sack. He only has one in his career. It came late against the Rams in the 4th quarter, but he's been getting so much good pressure, and we know they're going to slide protection to Jalen Carter in this game. I don't think Ojima's going to play a ton of snaps. It'll be a lot of Milton Williams, but I just have a feeling he's going to make a big play.
Okay.
And as far as Philly, I don't think they're going to run the Philly special.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably not.
Okay. Next one is from Chris. Hello, guys. Thank you for getting me and all Eagles fans ready through 2 weeks to the Super Bowl. Looking at the 53-man roster, who would the Eagles release to activate Brandon Graham? The Eagles stashed Lewis Seen on the roster late in the season. I know he's stashed for the future, but this is a Super Bowl. I would roll the dice if the Eagles could get him back to activate BG. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I guess he's the likeliest candidate. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you that Nick Gates popped up on the injury report with a groin injury
that
on
could
Thursday.
That could be a sign. That could be a sign. It could be Nick Gates. I did notice that.
Yeah, and he wasn't even active and playing when they went into the game without Cam Jurgens healthy. So I don't think he really has a role. They like him. They kept him around all year, but that could be the IR stash to get BG back on the roster.
Who was the guy that Belichick cut the day before Super Bowl?
Cut?
Yeah, he cut a guy. He was a kid from Jersey, from Central Jersey. I can't remember his name. I think he was. Taekwon Underwood. He got cut the night before Super Bowl. Now, what happens? Like, you can't put him on the practice squad that quickly. So does he just go home? Does Nick Gates just go home? Does he stay with the team?
He would stay with the team. They're not going to send him home.
Belichick sent Taekwon Underwood home. Taekwon Underwood was in, I believe, New Jersey triple jump champ. I'm trying to remember where he went to high school. It might have been one of those Tom's River-ish schools. But anyway, can Nick Gates stay with? He can't be on the sideline if he's not on the team. I guess he could be.
He'll be on IR. Of course, he can be.
Okay. Oh yeah, you want IR guys on the sideline? He could aggravate that injury.
What was it again? That injury?
It was a groin. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's going to have to get reminded of that, I think.
He might need surgery. Dave, you're making light of this injury.
Next question is from Scott. Hey, guys. Thanks for the daily pods this week. My question is, what do you think the Eagles defense should focus on in this game? Personally, I think the biggest things are double teaming Travis Kelce and keeping Patrick Mahomes contained in the pocket. I feel great about our run defense. I feel great about our corners matching up against their receivers. Kelce going crazy and Mahomes escaping the pocket are my only concerns. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, if I had to pick one thing, I would say containing Mahomes. I mean, he's most dangerous when he's freelancing, making it up, and running around and running scramble drills, and these guys they're so locked in with him. If you can mush rush a little bit and keep them contained, and which is hard to do, everybody tries to do it. Then and when the pocket does break down and he starts running around, they have the athletes who can chase him down. So that would be my number one thing.
Yeah, and I think those two things kind of go hand in hand. We had those stats earlier in the week about how good Travis Kelce is on those scramble plays. Yeah, so it's the second play, right? So you got to cover a long time. Kelce has this great feel to get open for Mahomes, and they do some unorthodox things. So I think those two things go together. I'm with you, Scott. I think those are like, if I'm Vic Fangio, that's where you start.
Yep, agree.
Okay. Next one is from Ryan. Hey, guys, you don't even have to read this on the pod, but I was down in NOLA in March and had dinner at Gus's Chicken. It's a 5 to 10 minute walk from the convention center. Given the size of that building, anything is 5 to 10 minutes away. It is the best fried chicken I've ever had, and it's not exactly close. That's all. Thanks for everything. I didn't really want to give a plug to this restaurant, but I wanted to read this one because I pass it every day, and I'm hungry now, and I really want to go get some chicken. What was the best meal you had down here?
By the way, Gus's Chicken is a chain, apparently. So it's not like a local New Orleans place. I think the best meal I had, did you go to Lucy's?
No.
I went to Lucy's and, had some jambalaya and a little small thing of gumbo. That was some good eating.
Yeah, there's one restaurant I really like here. I haven't been yet. It's called Cochon Butcher. So there's a Cochon restaurant, then there's Cochon Butcher that has like really good sandwiches. So I might go there after this wraps up, Rube.
Sounds like a good plan.
All right, next question is from Emmett. Hi, Dave and Rube, longtime listener here. I know everyone is saying that Myles Garrett is the best trade option, but what about Max Crosby? This guy's way younger and seems pretty disgruntled. He's been on so many bad teams, and the head coach he really loved was fired. I think he would be a way better fit. He plays really hard, and his contract might not be as big. Excited to hear what you think.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan is, what the Raiders are thinking with him, or what he's thinking, or what he wants. Myles Garrett's a better player. Max Crosby's really good. He's had a couple great years. I think Myles Garrett is, a better player. I'm just looking here. Max Crosby had 7.5 sacks this year. He's a really good pass rusher. 14.5 the year before. He's 27. He's not that much younger, a couple years younger. But I don't know if he's available. And again, a younger guy is going to probably cost more as well. So we know Myles Garrett is unhappy. I haven't talked to Max Crosby about his current state of mind, but certainly has been on bad teams his whole career.
Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, he's fun to watch, and he plays like almost 100% of their snaps. So
He
Vic would
does.
love him. He would be out there the whole game. You have him and Jalen Carter on the field for like 90% of their snaps. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, he's only made the playoffs once in his career. That was in 21. Now it looks that's the only winning season he's played. So yeah, I mean, certainly if he's available, it's a intriguing name.
All right, next question is from Spencer. Hey, Dave and Rube, wanted to say I love the pod and have listened for ages, and your guys' writing also helped inspire me to pursue a career in writing and journalism. My question regards unsung heroes of the Super Bowl. In 17, we had several players step up and make big impacts who maybe weren't expected to. Trey Burton on the Philly special pass, Derek Barnett recovering BG's forced fumble on Tom Brady. My question is this. We know the big names heading into this game, but what are some of the more under the radar players you think might be looked back on as big impact players if the Eagles win this championship?
I think you mentioned we talked. Who did you mention? Kenny Gainwell as a possible guy. I mean,
Earlier in the week, yeah.
He's a guy that has a really good postseason track record. I think he handles his role really well. You never know if he's going to have no touches or 6 touches or get a series or get a snap. But he makes good things happen on those plays, and so he's a possible guy I think who could do that.
Yeah. Anyone on defense? I mentioned Ujima earlier.
And the other guy I was going to mention was Jahan Dotson. Who knows? When he's gotten some chances, he's made a few plays here and there. So wouldn't that be a cool story if he did something on defense? An unsung guy. They don't really have any. They're all like really good, really good players. Maybe you get like I don't know. You get Jordan Davis forcing a big fumble or something. Imagine if Jordan Davis got a pick 6.
That would be incredible. I mean, that would be the boldest prediction of all time if you went with that.
I might go with it.
Next question is from Manav. First time, long time, got hooked listening to you guys every week during the 22 run and have been an avid fan since. Fun fact about Eagles Super Bowls, I went to Harvard during the 52 win and walked around the next day in my Eagles jersey. Patriots fans were more timid than Eagles fans would have been. Now my question, my single biggest concern about Sunday.
He just wanted to get in there that he went to Harvard. He wasn't even like, what does that have to do with the story? Go ahead.
Now to my question. My single biggest concern about Sunday is Mahomes' ability to pick apart a Fangio defense by dinking and dunking in a way that no other QB can. He's patient and methodical, and I'm worried we see a lot of these drives on Sunday that resemble what the Commanders put together on their first drive in the NFC Championship game, except the Chiefs will get 6 where Washington got 3. Should I be concerned? If not, why not?
Well, whenever you face Patrick Mahomes, you're concerned because he's so good. I think it's going to be hard to drive 18 plays and repeatedly and get in the end zone that way. I think they're going to need some chunk plays. And, Eagles are very good in the red zone, very, very good in the red zone. So if you do that, if you drive 16 plays and you get to the 17-yard line or the 13-yard line or whatever it is, I like the Eagles' chances of holding you to a field goal attempt or getting a stop. And I think that's going to be big.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be like one of the deciding factors in this game because you think about that Commanders drive, and that was such a huge win for the Eagles. Even before Saquon ripped off that long run, to settle for 3 there, you knew that wasn't going to be good enough for the Commanders.
Yeah, that was I was not impressed with that, Dan Quinn and the way he approached that. You're aggressive. It's you're playing the NFC Championship game. You're on the 13-yard line. You got the hottest quarterback in football. Maybe go for it.
Yeah, they probably should have there. Next one is from Michael. Hey, Reuben, Dave, I love the podcast. I have a question about Carson Wentz. If Mahomes goes down in the first half and Wentz leads the Chiefs to a Super Bowl victory, how would that affect the narrative of Wentz's place in the Eagles and NFL history? I did not put this into the world. This is Michael. Blame Michael. I didn't do this.
Mike, we'll come up with a better question. I don't know. It's not going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the last time Mahomes left the field with an injury, we thought, And he runs right back on the field all the time. It's amazing that he just like never leaves games.
Yeah. So if that happens, we'll talk about it then. It's not going to happen.
Next question from Annette. Dave and Reuben, I hope you're both enjoying your time in New Orleans. Just wanted to start off by thanking you for your Eagles coverage this week and all season. As someone who travels for a living, your podcast provide adequate companionship on my journeys. Since Reuben is so stat-minded, I'll throw out this little nugget. Including the postseason, the Eagles are 51-18 since Nick Sirianni's much maligned Flowers speech. Given the success of the franchise since then, including 2 Super Bowl appearances, I would say that the seeds were planted, then have yielded a winning bouquet. Since you're being asked repeated questions about the game, I'll go off the beaten path for mine. New Orleans is a city known for its various culinary delicacies. What are two or three of your favorite NFL cities to dine in over the years?
Oh, man. I would go San Diego. They don't have a team anymore, but always loved going to San Diego for delicious, fresh seafoods overlooking the Pacific Ocean. That was always good. I'll go Arizona for Mexican, and you can't beat New Orleans for that Cajun style cooking.
Yeah, those are all pretty good. Ready for the next one?
Yeah, and East Rutherford, some good Italian up there.
I make that trip pretty quick, in and out. Next from Calvin. Hey, Dave and Rube, been listening to y'all for over a year, and I really look forward to listening. And I really always look forward to listening while I work for the U.S. Postal Service. How do you guys think we should handle Patrick Mahomes when he runs down the sideline and fakes going out of bounds? Should the defenders try to hit him? Should they take a good shot? Or would you worry about drawing a penalty?
Yeah, it's always tricky, and it's a fine line, as a certain Chiefs quarterback likes to say. It's tough because everything's going full speed, and if he's in bounds, he's fair game, but he can go out of bounds very quickly as you're delivering the hit, as you're in the middle of delivering that hit. So it's a tricky thing. I would just say use good judgment, be smart, and be really, really super aware of exactly where he is on the field or out of bounds, and just try to be smart about it.
Yeah, it is. It's always so tough. We saw that Saquon play in the NFC Championship game on the sideline, and it was a penalty, but it's also really tough to stop your momentum when a guy kind of takes that sidestep and goes out of bounds.
Right. And that was a huge play at the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Next question is from Chris. Hi, guys. I love the show. My question is about Saquon Barkley as a receiver. He has 121 targets, which he converted into 721 yards and 4 touchdowns as a rookie, so he clearly has receiving ability. We saw flashes of it this year, but he never had more than 4 catches in a game. Do you think this is because he already gets plenty of touches from his carries, so the team doesn't need to throw to him more? If so, do you think 2 to 3 more targets and 2 to 3 more targets and 2 to 3 less carries would make sense, or is it simply better to hand it off?
Yeah, it's something that I thought he'd have more catches, more targets this year. That 91 is kind of an anomaly in his career. He's caught passes since then, but we've seen him drop a couple. I don't think he's a super natural pass catcher, so maybe that's part of it. But I don't know. I think he could be a real factor in the passing game. But look, if you're averaging 7 yards, there's not a lot of running backs average 7 yards a catch. So you're averaging close to 7 yards a carry. Keep doing it. I don't think they're going to all of a sudden make him a big focal point in the receiving game.
Yeah, I don't either. And I think in this offense, a big reason for that is, a lot of the dump off passes, Jalen just runs. I mean, you have a quarterback who can move the sticks on his own. You don't need to dump the ball off.
Yep.
So I was hoping you would talk there, and you didn't. Sorry.
Put it on me.
I'm like choking to death, and Rube's just watching me die.
I didn't know.
Next question is from Kenny. Hi, guys. 2 years ago, there's a lot of talk about how relaxed Jalen Hurts was in the lead up to the Super Bowl, and then he obviously has a monster game. Has he given you the same vibe this year? Thanks for the podcast. I always enjoy listening.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I think he's been just as – that's what he's going to be. He's just not a kind of guy that's going to buy into any hype or anything like that. I think he's handled this really well. He's poised. He's confident. He's comfortable. He's been through this before. I think he's been good on the podium when he's spoken from the times I've heard him. Um, he's kind of like made for this. I think he's got the perfect mentality for a Super Bowl quarterback because he really does have that ability to kind of compartmentalize, and all that matters is the next snap and the next play and the next rep. And I think that really serves you well when you're playing in a Super Bowl.
It does, and I think his sense of calm probably rubs off on his teammates, and you really want that in this time of the year because you don't want to like expel all this energy by being too hyped up before a game.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to have your quarterback be that relaxed.
Yeah, definitely.
Next is from Matt. Not really a question, but I'm surprised I haven't heard more people say this. The planets have aligned. Saquon Barkley and Cooper DeJean's birthdays are on February 9th, obviously the date of the Super Bowl. 26 plus 33 is 59. Super Bowl 59, Rube. Are you surprised you haven't heard that yet?
I've heard that for a few days now. Yeah.
Oh, have you?
Well. No.
Oh, okay. That's all. Next question is from Alec.
I'm always good for always up for a good numerology example.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Next one is from Alec. Hey, Reuben Dave, longtime listener, first-time question submitter. Really enjoy the pod and a big fan of consistent updates around the team that national media doesn't get. My question is about Devontae Smith, who I've been a long-standing advocate for as the most important player in the Eagles' passing game. I've always felt that he was the guy I want the ball going to in big moments. He will win his matchup and always make the right play on the ball. If he does enough to win Super Bowl MVP, where would he stand on the list of most decorated football players of all time? It is. I mean, he's in college. He racked up championships and obviously the Heisman. He is a really decorated player for being this young.
Yeah, that's true. Heisman, championships. If he wins the Super Bowl, I think John Clark was trying to figure out how many guys have done all those things. He's also the Eagles record holder for most receiving yards in the postseason. He already broke that record, and he's just a young kid. So I think if he gets MVP of this game and catches, I think he had 100 yards in the last Super Bowl, right? Was he right exactly 100? I think if he does that again, you have to consider him the greatest player ever.
Yeah. Next question is from. What was funny?
I was being facetious, but that's all right.
Next question is Dave. Hi, guys. Slay has been awesome this season, but any concern with the speed players like Worthy versus him? Or do you think Slay's football IQ and playing off man will be enough? Thanks for the pod.
Yeah, I mean, Worthy can run, and Slay's not as fast as he used to be, but he's still pretty fast. He can run when he's healthy, which he is right now. So, I think Worthy's a great receiver, and I'm sure they'll take a couple shots deep. I like the Eagles' corners. I really do. I like the way they play. I think they're prepared for this. They play well together. They communicate. It's the number one secondary pass defense in the league. So I think Slay will be okay.
Yeah, I do too. I think you're right, though. We talked about this when we did the matchups. I think they're going to test them, though. And I think they're going to need to. They're going to need to try to make some big plays. It can't all be dinking and dunking. I think that kind of plays into the Eagles' hand if they dink and dunk their way up and down the field. I think they're going to want to hit some explosives.
Yeah, I think they're going to definitely try.
Next question is from Trey. Love the work you guys do. I've learned a ton about football just listening to this podcast and find each episode informative. I really like the story on NBC Philly about how Jeremiah Washburn helped Nolan Smith refine his game. It got me thinking about how the Eagles scout opponents and game plan. Do positional coaches collaborate with positional coaches on the opposite side of the ball? For example, would Clint Hurt go to Jeff Stoutland if he wanted to see if Jeff had any recommendations on how to game plan or exploit weaknesses in the opponent's offensive line? Thanks, and go Birds.
I don't think there's a ton of that. I think that Clint Hurt's focused on his group and what he can do to get his group ready. I don't think there's a lot of cross-pollination that way. I could be wrong, but I don't think that happens very much.
Probably not a ton in the season. Training camp, I would think so.
Yeah.
Because you're watching these guys go up against each other, and that's where I think you get some hints. And we know, like, the coordinators do talk about things, like they'll get advice from one another.
Yeah.
All right, next question is from Chad. Greetings from a Bucks County native living in Massachusetts since going to college here in the 80s. I'm a
Why is
long-time
everyone leaving Bucks County? That's like the third guy who've had that. Bucks County native. Now I live in Denver. Now I live in the Seattle guy was from Bucks County. Somebody called about Percy. Why everyone's leaving Bucks County? It's kind of sad.
I think they'll get by. I think everyone's okay up there.
Okay. What was the question again?
You didn't let me get to it, so I'm going to do that now. I'm a longtime Eagles fan and love your pod. My question is, do you think the Birds had a slight hangover from the Brazil trip, which contributed to their sluggish start? It was a long trip, and it seemed like the bye came at the right time for them to recharge their batteries and go on an epic run.
I don't think so. I think, they had a long week. The Atlanta game, they would have won if Saquon didn't drop the football. They would have been 3-1. I don't think the Tampa game, which is like their only really bad loss, I don't think that was affected by Brazil a couple weeks earlier. So I think on the outside, I could see how you might think that, but I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily like the case for their slow start. I mean, they came back and they won that New Orleans game. They almost won the Falcons game in the very next week. So, if they win that Falcons game, I think the narrative is much different. If Saquon catches that pass, I don't think we're really even talking about the sluggish start.
Yep.
Next question is from Jack. Hi, Dave and Rube, longtime listener. Thank you for your coverage of Super Bowl week. I feel like I'm there in New Orleans instead of driving my truck up and down the roads of the UK. My question is, which player from your time covering the Birds has surprised you most in their career? That can be a good or bad surprise. I recall Rube back in 2022 saying something along the lines of, I don't think we're going to get to the point where we see Reed Blankenship out there starting, and now he's a staple of the defense. The obvious answer, of course, is Zach Bond. So you can't choose Zach Bond. That's his answer. Thanks again for all you do. You guys are amazing.
So he's looking for a guy who, when they got him, we didn't think he'd be as good as he turned out to be.
Yeah.
Keith Jackson, it comes to mind, who he had caught 20. I think he caught 26 passes his entire college career, and I didn't think the Eagles knew what they were doing. Ended up having some. I think it was a Pro Bowl his first 4 years, and still has the record for catches by a rookie. So I kind of learned that you don't just evaluate college player by numbers.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I guess it's like when they got him, because there have been players who have, Brandon Graham obviously got off to a slow start in his career. So I don't, early on, I don't think anyone would have envisioned him being here 15 years and being like the most beloved guy ever. So, Jason Kelce was a 6th round pick.
Yeah.
That worked out pretty well. So maybe he's a good answer for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another one of the most amazing stories ever. You forget he was a 6th round pick.
Yeah. As far as like free agents.
Somebody told me, who was he competing with his rookie year? Was it Jamal Jackson?
Yeah.
One of the coaches told me they knew day one, and it's nothing against Jamal, who was a really solid player. I think he was undrafted from Delaware State.
Mm-hmm.
They knew after one day Jason Kelce was going to be a star. They knew after one practice that maybe not a Hall of Famer, but they knew he was going to be the starting center on this team from day one, and he was.
Do you believe that?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I do.
Okay. Next question, and the last one, is from Eric. Dave and Rube, the first football game I watched was Super Bowl 39 when I was 7 years old. I've been a rabid Eagles fan ever since, but I don't remember anything about the game. Can you take us back to that time and share the major headlines going into and coming out of that Super Bowl? How high were the expectations? How disappointing was that loss? From what I can tell, that Eagles team was outstanding, but Donovan threw 3 atrocious interceptions, including a dying duck in the red zone. Did it feel like the Eagles were a superior team and should have hoisted their first Lombardi, if not for some sloppy play.
Well, one of the 3 interceptions was with 5 seconds left. It was just like a Hail Mary. So it's a little misleading to say he threw 3 atrocious interceptions. He did throw 2 really bad ones. It really hurt. I mean, it was a really, really good team. And, T.O. had come back for that game after bad injury, missed the first 2 playoff games. I think 2 things that really hurt were Rod Hood. It was really a humid, muggy day in Jacksonville. And Rod Hood and Todd Pinkston both had to leave the game. They didn't play in the second half because of dehydration. And Pinkston had a really good first half. He had 4 for 84. Pinkston's, by the way, is on the Chiefs coaching staff now.
Coaching running backs.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to talk to him at all?
I didn't, no, because I talked to Matt Nagy, and then I went back into the players, and then I ran out of time.
Yeah. And then Rod Hood, who was a starting corner at that point, he had to leave the game. He was replaced by, I believe, Matt Ware, who was a rookie and just hadn't played much defense all year, and Brady went right after him. Matt was covering Deion Branch, who had a big game. So, and that was at that point, I don't think anybody really believed the Eagles could beat the Patriots. They still had that kind of, even though they won the NFC Championship game there that year, they still had that kind of aura of being losers because they lost 3 straight NFC Championship games. And I don't think people really expected them to beat the Patriots. It was a close game. And actually, I think Donovan threw some great passes in that game. That touchdown to Westbrook, which just threaded through 3 guys. The touchdown to Greg Lewis was an incredible pass, 30-yarder. I believe he had a touchdown to L.J. Smith as well. So it was the first Eagles Super Bowl I covered, and I didn't really get it yet. I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing, I guess. I'm not saying I do now. I'm not saying
you beat me to that one, yeah.
Yeah, it was just something surreal about it. Like, are the Eagles really in the Super Bowl? But yeah, people didn't really expect them to win, and they didn't.
All right, let's take a break, and on the other side, we'll get to our predictions for Super Bowl 59.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and NissanUSA.com today.
All right, we're back on the Eagle Eye podcast. We have a big mission now. It's almost prediction time. But before we get to the actual predictions, I want to get your take on just like what kind of game you think this is going to be.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's going to be played in the high 20s, low 30s. Yeah, I think both teams are going to play well. It needs to be a clean game. They're 2 really good teams. They're well coached. They have good quarterbacks, good defenses. I think it's going to be a fun game. I really do. I think it's going to be close for quite a while. And since I'm not making my prediction quite yet, I won't say who I believe is going to pull away in the second half. But I think it'll be a fun game.
Yeah, it's amazing. The 2 most recent Eagles Super Bowls have been incredible back and forth games. They won the one in 17. It was one of the most amazing football games I've ever seen. And then the one in 22 was also just an incredible game. 2 really good teams going at it. I think this is going to be another fun one. I think it's going to be lower scoring than the last one. I think both these defenses are really good. And that's not to say there won't be points put up. I think it's going to be played in the 20s, but I don't think you're going to hold them to I don't think either team's going to be held to 12 points or something like that. I think they'll be in the 20s, but I also don't think it's going to be a crazy shootout either.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give my prediction first if you
Sure.
want me to do that.
Please do.
I have the Eagles winning this one 27-23. Like I said, I think it's played in the 20s. And ultimately, I think the reason I'm confident they're going to win this game is Vic Fangio. And I keep going back to that. I recently rewatched Super Bowl 57. And the one thing that stuck out to me is like the defense didn't change up anything. They were getting roasted, and it was like they just went back out there and did the same thing. I just have so much confidence that Fangio is going to pull the right levers to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Eagles were up 10 in that game, and they just didn't compete in the second half. I honestly think the Eagles have a chance to blow out the Chiefs. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 38-21 game. I think they're the better team. I think they're significantly better. The Chiefs might have the best quarterback ever by the time all is said and done. He might pass Montana. He might have already passed Montana and just be behind Brady. I really like their chances. I just think they're playing confident. I think a big part of facing the Chiefs and beating the Chiefs is not being caught up in their aura, and they just have a certain kind of magic around them, certain vibe, and I think it intimidates teams. I don't think the Eagles are going to buy into any of that. I think they've been through this. They beat the Chiefs last year. They're confident. They're incredibly confident. They've been on a roll. They've lost one game since the bye week. So I really like where they're at as a team. I don't think they have any real weaknesses. I think there's a lot of matchups that really favor the Eagles. Saquon versus the Chiefs running game, and Devontae and AJ against those corners. Eagles pass rush against the Chiefs O-line, which is a good line, but I think they can pressure Mahomes. Their run defense, the Chiefs killed the Eagles on the ground in the last game 2 years ago. I don't think they're going to do that this year. I don't think I like the matchup better, certainly with the Eagles run defense. So I think there's a lot of areas to feel really good about. And I didn't go crazy on my prediction, but I went 33-26 Eagles, and see you at the parade.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope everyone enjoys the game. If you've enjoyed Eagle Eye Podcasts all week, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. It's been a heck of a ride. We'll have a podcast for you at some point after Super Bowl 59. I don't know when that will be. At some point in the wee hours of the morning, we will talk about either a really great win or a really disappointing loss. But that's all the time we have today on the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. For Reuben Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. We'll talk to you soon.